What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Welcome back to another episode of the Premier League SPUR-SPECTIVE, where me and Sim go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes. This is obviously the aftermath of Predict the Prem. We're doing it a bit early this week, seeing as we've got a big day of preview day tomorrow for the big Champions League game against Frankfurt. So there is one more game that will be added on to Predict the Prem at the end of the week. But at the moment, it is 57 to Sim, 67 to myself. The way the scoring works, it is 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for correct result on the star man as well. Once you pick that man, you cannot pick them again. And it is 5 points for a goal, 3 points for an assist. And let's get straight into it with the first game of the weekend, which was Bournemouth against Leicester, which finished 2-1 to Bournemouth on the day. Both of us going for Leicester wins. Sim went 3-0, I went 3-1. And you know what? I thought Leicester came out the blocks pretty. I was watching this game a little bit and I thought Leicester came out the blocks really well, got that early goal, and you thought, you know what, Leicester could go on a bit of a run here, but it wasn't the case, was it? Bournemouth come back impressively and win the game.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was travelling up to Brighton, so I didn't get to see much of the 3 o'clock games. I was just kind of following the scores. But you have to say, Bournemouth, again, still unbeaten under Gary O'Neill, again coming back from behind as well, just like they did against Nottingham Forest. And I think maybe they need to start getting a bit more credit than they're getting at the moment for remaining unbeaten, because everyone had them as down and out. Yeah, at the moment, they're going really strong under Gary O'Neill, and I'll be shocked if he carries this on, if he's not going to get the job permanently, because he's doing a brilliant job right now. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think they're in the top half as things stand.
Yeah, they're 8th actually.
They're 8th.
They're actually above Fulham, and everyone's going on about how good Fulham have been so far.
Yeah, I mean, they really, since Scott Parker...
They're above Liverpool.
I mean, since Scott Parker, maybe Scott Parker was giving that negative energy, and that's why they had to get rid of him, because he was constantly complaining. And it seems like Gary O'Neill was just like, look, we've got all we have, let's knuckle down and do the best that we can do. And you got to say, he's doing fantastic, albeit they are unbeaten, but I think they've had, you would have to say, a fairly... not comfortable, but because when you're Bournemouth, every game is difficult, so you can't say like
look, they went away to Newcastle and got a draw.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they haven't had like the hardest games, haven't played any like the top 6 or anything, but they've definitely had difficult games for their kind of work, for their level. And the fact that they're still unbeaten and they keep coming back as well, showing that spirit and togetherness, is very, very impressive. Solanke as well is starting
2 assists,
2 assists, and he's starting to get to grips with it, because he's been a striker who's always been brilliant in the Championship, but whenever he's stepped up to the Premier League, he's never really done it. But maybe there's
like Mitrovic this season, but obviously different level.
Yeah, maybe there are signs that Solanke is starting to get to grips with the Premier League, and he started, because he scored it, didn't he? I think it was against Forest. He scored a couple of goals and now 2 assists in this one. So fair play to Bournemouth. Maybe they do, no. To be honest, I still think they've got a very good chance of going down. Can they keep this up? We'll see. But you got to give them credit. They're unbeaten, I think, in 5 games now. Very, very impressive, and they keep plugging away and proving people wrong. I think maybe that's what fuels them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely spot on there. Very impressive from Bournemouth, but 0 points for each of us there as we move on to Chelsea against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Managerless Wolverhampton Wanderers under Graham Potter's Chelsea, against Graham Potter's Chelsea at the Bridge. Both of us going for 2-0, ended up 3-0. But Graham Potter making some decisions before this game. Aubameyang out the team, Mendy out the team, Sterling out the team.
James out the team.
James out the team, you know. And they still come up with a really good victory.
Yeah, and that's worrying, the fact they made so many rotations, and they still, not only did they win, but they dominated and absolutely battered Wolves. From what I saw, it was pretty much all Chelsea throughout the game. I don't think Wolves had really anything to cling on to say they were in the game. It was only a matter of time, and it was a comprehensive victory in the end. And that maybe Potter's Chelsea are going to be something to worry about this season. I was starting to worry whether it will take them time to get to grips with how he wants to play, and whether that'll cost them a top 4 place. But at the moment, they seem free-flowing. They're unbeaten. I think 1 win and 1 draw and 3 wins under Graham Potter now. So they seem to be going very, very strong. And the fact that they made so many rotations and still look good is worrying. However, it was a team like Wolves who don't have a manager at the moment, so maybe it was a good time to face them. But, you know, look, the thing is with Chelsea is, their squad is really good. Like, people like Pulisic have just been underperforming for a couple of years now. If he can get everyone on side and get them all playing well, they've got a very strong squad there, and that is something to worry about. I think during the season they have been underperforming a lot of their players. So if Potter can get them all playing, they are going to be a problem.
Do you think they can challenge for the title this year?
Not this year. I think they're too far behind. And
Can anyone challenge for the title this year?
Yeah, that's another question. I don't think they can challenge for the title. I just look as good as they are. I don't think they're that good where they're going to.
In terms of squads, are they best placed to challenge for the title?
Might be able to argue that. I still think, like, I don't know. I think their forward line is really good, but is it good enough to rival Man City? I mean, I'm not so sure. I'm not convinced yet. But look, they're going really strong at the moment. They're very impressive, and they're hopefully they start faltering soon because they're riding a Potter wave at the moment.
Yeah, rumours that Aubameyang could already be out the door.
Yeah, to PSG.
Yeah.
But he scored? Didn't he score not so long ago?
He scored a couple of goals now under Potter.
So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I think they're still lacking that real striker that maybe City and we have and maybe Arsenal have at the moment. But if he can get Aubameyang firing, they're going to be going to have they do have a serious shout for top four. At the moment, the top four looks nailed on at the moment, but it's difficult.
Yeah. Anyway, 1 point each for us on that one. Let's move on to Man City against Southampton. 4-0 to Man City on the day. Both of us going for 4-1, but pretty much a demolition as we all expected. 1 goal goes in, 2 goes in, 3 goals goes in, and Haaland hasn't scored. And then obviously he gets the last goal and carries on. Yeah, I know, a bit of a poor showing from him.
Already calling it a goal drought.
I know. But João Cancelo getting a goal and an assist. Foden getting goal and assist. I mean, and Mahrez with his, I think, first start or second start of the season, and him getting on the score sheet as well. So, as expected, really, from Man City.
Yeah, what else can I say? It was obviously we all predicted it was going to be a big Man City victory, but I think it's the ease in which they're just absolutely battering teams now is a bit concerning. I mean, last season they were still battering teams, but it just feels like adding Haaland into that has just completely made it so simple and easy for them right now. And at the moment they're not even top, so what can we say that they're definitely going to win the title? But you got to say they're
definitely winning the title.
Big favourites right now with how they're playing and how easy they're making it look. They're just battering teams left, right, and centre.
You know what it is though, like about Haaland? I think he's taken De Bruyne up a notch as well. Not because he's made De Bruyne a better player, but De Bruyne's got more to aim at, if you know what I mean. So he's taken his game up a notch, and Foden seems to be getting much better as well. I mean, he's kind of elevated everyone in that team.
Well, the problem is because Haaland's so prolific and he's so physical and he's so good in around the box, he commands extra attention. If you don't give him extra attention, look what he does. He's scored back 3 hat-tricks in a row. So you give him that extra attention, and then what happens? You've got all these other amazing players who are going to get the time and space that they want. And that's what's making it so easy for Man City at the moment, and they just look unstoppable right now. Yeah,
they really do. But that's a point each for us on the Man City game as we move on to the Newcastle against Brentford game, which finished 5-1 at St James's Park. Both of us going for 2-1. And, people were talking that last weekend when Newcastle beat Fulham 4-1, saying, but they got a red card, let's see what happens next week. And they backed it up with a 5-1 victory at St James's Park. Bruno Guimaraes back in the team in the double. And Miguel Almiron, I mean, he's having a good season, Almiron. 4 goals already this season. And when are people going to start talking about him having a good season?
Yeah, he is. He's playing quite well at the moment, to be fair. Maybe he's been motivated by Grealish's comments back end of last season. He started to score some good goals, and I think he scored even against Man City, didn't he, when they drew 3-3? I think maybe it's just a case of Newcastle had a lot of injuries during that period. They weren't getting a lot of wins, and now they're getting all these players back. Bruno clearly is a very important player for them. They're not the same team without him right now. I think that's clear. That I think when you're replacing Bruno Guimaraes with like Longstaff or something in the centre, clearly that's going to make a big difference. And since Bruno's come back in, I don't think they've lost a game. I think they've won their last 2 anyway, and he's been absolutely fantastic. Callum Wilson back in the team, and didn't score, but I think he got an assist in this one.
He did, yeah.
Trippier as well.
Don't say you think. You know full well he got an assist.
He got an assist. Trippier, I know. Trippier is getting assists every week, right back right now. Yeah. He's seemed to really fit into that Newcastle system. So now they've got those injuries back. Maybe it looks like the results are starting to come back for them, and that's a bit of a worry, because when they're playing well, like they did back end of last season, they play very well, and they're really, really difficult to play against.
Yeah, absolutely. And they went so long without winning, Newcastle, but already sitting nicely in 6th in the table, only a point behind Man United.
It's because they didn't lose many.
They were drawing a lot, but Do you think they're going to be gunning for those European spots this year? Europa League is probably there where they can go.
Yeah, I don't think top four. I don't think they're. Look, you never know, but you never know. In January, maybe they'll be close to top four, and they just go and get some big players, and maybe that gives them another push. As of now, I can't see them being higher than sixth. Even that is quite high when you consider who the top six consists of. So which one of those is going to drop out for Newcastle? But I believe that they can compete for that top six, and that'll be a fantastic season for them. But I mean, top four is probably just a bit of a stretch right now for them.
Yeah, but you never know, like with the amount of money they have, what they can do in January and what they can do next window.
If they're close to top four in come January, like within 5-6 points or something, and then they go and spend another 100 million or whatever, you never know what they can do.
Yeah, and as the years progress, the Premier League is just getting stronger and stronger with the likes of Newcastle and other teams being taken over. But that's another point each for us there as we move on to the Spurs game, which was Brighton against Spurs at the Amex. Finished 1-0 to Spurs. Sim went 2-1 to Spurs, so he gets a point in there. I went 2-2, so I get 0 points, and I'm quite happy about that because obviously Spurs with the 3 points. And I think it was a good performance on a whole. Brighton played well as well, but I'm happy with those 3 points. A tough victory under those circumstances as well, so you've got to give a big up to the team and the management staff.
Yeah, look, it wasn't pretty, but we got the job done. It was effective, and the fact of the matter is Brighton haven't lost a home game in 7 months since we beat them back in March, so they're clearly very good at home and clearly tough to beat. So the fact that we went there under those circumstances and ground out a victory, and it wasn't exactly like we were riding our luck that much. I think by and large we had the better chances anyway, and we just defended very, very well. And you got to give credit to the team for digging deep and getting those 3 points. I think I'm proud of the team, and it was a very well-earned victory.
Yeah, absolutely. So a point to Sim, 0 for me, which takes it 70 to 61 as we move on to Palace against Leeds, which finished 2-1 to Palace. And I had 1-1, and it was 1-1 going the last 15 minutes, but Eze gets that winner. And it was a funny story because me and Sim was sitting here just after we recorded the preview show, and I go to Sim, you're going to get another battering and predict the Prem if this finishes 1-1. And the second I say it, Eze goes through on goal and scores. So Sim gets the 5 points, I get 0, and a really good win for Palace because they haven't been the greatest this season. I've expected better from Palace. Leeds took the lead, but Palace finishing the job here.
Yeah, they needed that victory. I think Vieira said it after the game. They really needed that victory because albeit they've been playing well, but they just haven't been getting the results. You thought a young Palace side with a front three of Eze and Olise and Zaha, a lot of quality there, very underrated quality there. And add in Cheek Decore, who's been pretty good since he's come in, and you would have thought they will be ready for the season to get into the top 10. Hasn't quite worked out like that. That was only their second win of the season. They've drawn a lot of games, but it was a reminder of the quality they have. That Eze goal was brilliant. It was a brilliant team goal as well with Zaha, a back flick into Eze. He takes a step, fakes shot, and then into the corner, and that shows the quality they have in those three players. And I think it's Zaha's job to get them. Vieira's job to get the most out of those three players because they have really
probably
good
Zaha's
quality
as well.
Yeah, obviously Zaha's job as well, but I think Vieira has to be getting more out of those three because they've got amazing quality, and if they link up together, they could be really, really dangerous. And it was a really good win for them. They played really well. It was a bad start to the game, to be honest. Leeds deservedly took the lead, but I think as Palace grew into the game, they deservedly got They deservedly got the win, and fair play to him. And Edouard got another goal, and he's starting to get a couple now. So maybe he's starting to get used to the Premier League because he had big struggles last season.
Yeah, apart from on his debut against us.
Apart from that, yeah, he scored twice in 2 minutes against us and barely scored again.
Yeah. So yeah, big one for Sim there. He gets the correct result. He gets 5 points as we move on to West Ham against Fulham in the London derby at the London Stadium, which finished 3-1 to West Ham. Sim went 1-0. I also went 1-0. So we get a point each there. I think West Ham deserved the victory in this one, but some of the goals they scored shouldn't have been allowed.
It's disgrace.
Shouldn't have been allowed. Yes, Scamacca's and Antonio's shouldn't have been allowed. But look, if you look past that, they did deserve the victory. And I think Scamacca's really getting to grips now with the English league. I think the last couple of games he's looked good, scoring goals now as well. Not just in the league, in Europe as well. He's scoring goals. So I think he's going to be a good signing.
Yeah, he's starting to bang them in, isn't he? And really nice finishes as well. Like the one against, who was it last week? I can't remember who they played, but he hit it from the the edge of the box and got it into the corner. This one was a nice lob
against
finish.
Wolves,
Against Wolves last week, and this one was a nice lob finish over the keeper. In Europe, he's getting volleys and headers into the back of the net. So he's starting to find his feet in England after a really prolific year for, I think it was Sassuolo last season.
Yeah.
So he looks like a really good signing. But I just have to say, VAR has dropped an absolute clanger in 2 goals here. The first goal, I'm pretty sure Skamaka, if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure he handleballs it twice. There's one where he touches it onto his arm, and it very clearly ricochets off his arm and goes down. And then
you literally see the ball move.
Yeah, and then there's a second time where it might hit his elbow, but that's where a bit contentious. Not 100% sure. 100% hits his hand in one angle though, and he lobs the keeper, and the referee, I don't know why they decide to just give the goal. After viewing it 100 times, you can clearly see it hits his hand, and then Antonio kind of pushes it away with his hand when through on goal to get that first touch. He pretty much is playing like volleyball there. Brilliant first touch by Antonio with his hands, and he goes through on goal and scores. And VAR again doesn't pick that up. I mean, I just don't understand it. I don't understand what VAR is doing. I think it's disgraceful that West Ham got those 2 goals, and I think Fulham rightfully can feel aggrieved, albeit they didn't have the best performance. They definitely missed Mitrovic, who wasn't playing, and I know Pereira got a brilliant goal, didn't he?
What, you telling me Vinny goal wasn't good enough?
No, didn't. Yeah, Vinicius was playing, and he didn't quite do it, but it was great to see Pereira's goal. Brilliant goal.
I missed Pereira's goal. I saw the West Ham goals. I didn't see Pereira's goal.
It was a brilliant left-footed finish into the top corner from a really tight angle, really good goal. But look, West Ham, fair play. That's now 2 wins on the trot for them, and they're starting to turn their season around.
Yeah, they really are. And I expected it. I mean, they've got so much quality in that team, West Ham, and with what they've done the last couple of seasons, I expect them to be in the knockings for something like top 7, top 8 this season. Well,
I don't know. I think
in the latter stages,
maybe. I don't know if they have it in them to get that far right now because of the quality of those teams, then they've given them all a head start. But
still early days. They're only 5 points behind Man United in 5th.
That's true. So they might still have their still.
It's like
have
9 games in. I mean, there's so much football to be played. Let's move on to Arsenal against Liverpool, which finished 3-2 to Arsenal on the day. Both of us going for 2-2, which we were pretty close in, to be honest, with Arsenal getting the winner with 15 minutes to go with a penalty that should never have been a penalty. Look, just going to get it out there. Arsenal played very well and deserved the victory. You got to say that. I thought in the first half, Liverpool actually were probably the better team for the most part, but I think Arsenal coming out the second half completely destroyed Liverpool. Liverpool hardly had a kick in that second half. But some of the refereeing decisions in this game, again, were absolutely shocking. I thought Martinelli, if Emerson's getting sent off against Arsenal, then Martinelli should be getting sent off against Liverpool for that challenge. And both penalties, the Arsenal penalty shouldn't have been given, and Liverpool should have had a penalty for the handball, for the handball on Gabriel. Yeah, so I don't get some of these decisions.
I think. I completely agree with that. I think Arsenal deserved the victory. I think they were very, very fortunate, actually, to be honest, to go in winning at half-time. They scored in the first minute and the last minute of the first half, but pretty much in between that, it was all Liverpool.
And they were the ones,
defending for those 2 goals were, especially from Trent. If Trent was
and
diabolical,
he gets hauled off, didn't he?
Because he got injured from that Martinelli. He got injured, that Martinelli, as you said, that Martinelli tackle. Well, what wasn't a tackle? What happened was he put in a cross, and the follow through on his cross caught Trent. So look, I don't think it was a red, but the thing is with that is you take a freeze frame and it looks like a bad challenge, just like the Emerson one. And as you say, I agree. I don't think Emerson or Martinelli was red, but if you're going to send off Emerson, there's a very good case you could have sent off Martinelli. I just don't think either are red. So that goes more into that Emerson was a bad decision. I don't think Martinelli should have been sent off.
I agree with that. But that's why I said if you send off Emerson, you have to send off Martinelli.
Yeah, I think from that point of view, you could easily slow it down and make it look like a horrific challenge, like on slow-mo, and that's kind of I know VAR didn't send Emerson off, but that's kind of how I see it. Liverpool were looking really dangerous in that first half, and especially when Thiago was getting the ball quickly spraying out to Luis Diaz, and when he went off injured in the first half, that made a big difference actually, because he went off I think 5 minutes ago in the first half, and then things started to turn again for Arsenal, and they started to be a bit more on the front foot. Him missing, and then they had to put Jota out wide. It wasn't as threatening, and then Salah was completely completely anonymous as well. They end up the game with Henderson playing right wing, which was unbelievable. Second half, to be fair,
they took off all their strikers, literally.
Yeah, and they ended the game, and they didn't have a kick. And to be fair, Arsenal completely dominated. And when they got the penalty, like Liverpool did equalise in the second half against the run of play, they didn't really deserve it. And then when Arsenal got the penalty, like it was because of the pressure they were putting Liverpool under. It was like relentless. And to be fair, they deserved it, but it wasn't a penalty. I don't understand how the referee's given a penalty for that challenge. Jesus takes a massive dive. I mean, he might have felt a tiny bit of contact, but there was not enough for him. Like, you saw the delayed reaction to him going down. It wasn't a penalty. He got very lucky with it. And because VAR sees contact, they're not going to overturn it. So they got very fortunate with that, and then they end up getting the victory. So there is definitely a case to say Arsenal got a bit lucky, but you have to say in terms of the way they're playing right now, I think 8 wins out of 9 games. They were completely all over Liverpool in that second half, and you can't say they didn't deserve the victory. It's just they're getting a bit of the rub of the green from decisions. That's all. And the Gabriel one also I don't understand, because he had his hand behind his back and he moves it up. He moves it up as he's running, and then it literally hits his hand.
I don't get how that's not a penalty. I just don't get it.
I mean, if anything, he's making his body bigger, like clearly making it bigger. It
doesn't make sense.
It feels like over there, like by his side, but a bit out. I understand, but he's up there. That's a penalty. So I don't understand it.
I've seen that so many times, and it looks more and more of a penalty every time you watch it. I just don't get how they don't give that, but. Look, it is what it is. Arsenal deserve the victory, so you can't really complain about the decisions when they played that well and deserve the victory.
Yeah,
so.
They just look so energetic, and like their youth is just they've got balance of energy.
They'll burn out.
I hope you're right, but at the moment, because they're so young, they're not going to burn out as quickly as I
look at Spurs. Like when we had that young Pochettino team, we always used to burn out at the end of seasons.
Yeah, until we didn't.
But they're at the beginning stages of that.
Maybe some would argue last season was the beginning stages of it, and now they're full flight. That's what I'm worried about. They look really like Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard. They look like they just got and Jesus. They look like they've just got endless amounts of energy, and they can go for forever. And that's a bit of an issue. But you never know. Once a few injuries start popping up, and maybe they'll start to slow down. But right at the moment, they're playing at 100 miles an hour, and they're not slowing down.
They'll burn out. Let's move on to the last game of the weekend, which was Everton against Manchester United. Finished 2-1 to Man United in a hard-fought victory at Goodison Park. We both went 1-1, which was fairly close, to be honest, but I think Man U deserved this victory. I think they did. Everton, they did put in a real shift and try to get the result there, but I think the quality shone through for Man United in the end. Cristiano Ronaldo coming on for the injured Martial in the first half, and with a really good goal to win the game.
Yeah, a really nice finish. I was eating dinner at this point, so I didn't see a lot of the game. I watched the first 10 minutes, and I saw Iwobi's goal. Really great finish. But United dug deep, and again they got the victory, which under Ten Hag in these kind of games they've been getting at the moment. Anthony's now got 3 goals in 3 games. He's loving life in Manchester so far. Some really good goals as well. He's scored pretty much very similar, all his goals, but
he's a very good player.
He's clearly got a knack for finding the back of the net. Fair play to Man United. That's not easy to go to Everton and win, especially because right now they were unbeaten for a few games, and they had one of the best defensive records in the league going into this. So it's not an easy game. Fair play. They showed their quality and got the win. But also, what's unbelievable about this game is Rashford's ruled out goal. He got ruled out of a handball, which I wasn't even sure was handball.
That was ridiculous.
I wasn't even sure it was handball.
That was ridiculous.
So they rule out that one, which is not even sure if it is handball, and then they don't rule out the other 2, which are very clearly handball.
It was ridiculous.
I don't understand.
It was ridiculous. And by the way, that defending for that goal that was disallowed was the most shocking defending and goalkeeping I've ever seen. It was like comedy of errors from everyone. Yeah,
but I just don't understand VAR this weekend. They've had just absolute because they gave the goal, didn't they? And then VAR ruled out for handball.
It seems as and you saw Rashford's reaction was just laughing. It was just like, how can you overturn that? But
I don't understand.
But VAR and the referees are making decisions like this every single week, it seems, at the moment. Every week, whenever we do this show, we seem to be talking about refereeing decisions.
Yeah, and that's when you have VAR, that should never be the case, really. Like when you have slow-mo images and like you have everything at your disposal to make the right decision, and you've got time, they bloody take 5 minutes over every decision. There's no reason to get it wrong. Yet they've got the 2 blatant handball ones wrong, and the one contentious one, then they rule it out. So I don't understand.
How do you go about though, like improving the situation that we're in? Because every week, like I said, we're talking about these decisions, right? So how do you go about it? Is it just a case of we're in a multi-billion pound league and just pump more money into the grassroots of referees? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I don't know. There's enough money going into it. It's not a money issue. It's just the quality of referees. How do you improve the quality? There's no short-term answer. It all has to be a long-term thing, and that's the sad reality of it at the moment. It's these referees. I don't know. I don't know whether it's a competence thing, but at the moment they seem to be very incompetent. Do you go
out and poach the best referees from other leagues and stuff like that? Maybe,
if it's possible.
I don't know. It's a very difficult situation, but look, we'll see what happens.
Maybe you need ex-referees in, or maybe you need.
We got that though, don't we?
Maybe you need like more people's, like maybe a player in there as well, like helping, like ex-players or something, helping making these decisions. Because at the moment, how are they getting them wrong? I just don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me.
Obvious calls as well. Yeah. But anyway, one more game tonight, which is Forest against Aston Villa. I think I've gone for the Villa win. Sim's gone for the Forest win. So we'll keep you updated on that and predict the Prem on Thursday. But let's finish off with the star men for this week. Sim went for Callum Wilson, who got his assist in that 5-1 victory for Newcastle. And for me was Phil Foden, who got a goal and an assist for Man City against Southampton. So I get 8 points. Sim gets 3 points. And we finish off on 79-70 in my favour. So you cut the gap by 1 this week, but still a lot of football left to be played. But that's it. Thank you everyone for watching today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.